Fortnite has been around for almost 8 years now, and over time there have been many different collabs and crossovers that have influenced the game both positively and negatively. From Marvel superheroes to huge concerts and even in-game events around movies and TV shows, Fortnite has become this giant pop culture hub. These collabs have definitely made the game feel new and exciting, constantly offering new skins, limited time modes, and all kinds of extra content for players to enjoy. They've also brought in tons of new players, which is a huge win for Fortnite's longevity. But some players are starting to feel like Fortnite is becoming less of its own game and more of a branded marketing platform. Every time you log in, there's a new crossover or skin relating to a celebrity or a movie, and after a while, it starts to feel like there's too much. So the question is, have all of these collabs ruined Fortnite, or are they just a natural part of the game's evolution? Well, before we get into the has it ruined the game debate, let's take it back to the start of all of these collabs. When Fortnite first dropped the Avengers Infinity War LTM in 2018, it was a pretty big deal at the time. It wasn't just another random event or skin that we most commonly see in today's game, but it was a limited time mode that tied into the release of the movie. The whole concept was simple but fun. The map was filled with the Infinity Gauntlet, and the player who found it would get to play as Thanos. It was only around for 8 days, and it was a huge deal at the time because Infinity War had just hit theaters. The cool thing about that first collab was that it wasn't forced. It was just a short, special event that felt like a fun bonus for players. It didn't change Fortnite in any huge way, it just gave us a cool mode to mess around with for a bit. It was like the game was still staying true to its roots, but they added this neat crossover to keep things fresh. And because it was limited time, players knew that it wouldn't just be there forever, so it didn't feel like it was taking over the game. That kind of balance worked really well, and people loved it. Fast forward a bit to Chapter 2 Season 4, and things started to change. Instead of having a one-time LTM or skin like in 2018, Fortnite went all in with a huge Marvel collaboration. This time, the entire Battle Pass was filled with Marvel characters like Iron Man, Thor, and Groot, and the map even got a new Marvel-themed POI called Stark Industries. It felt like the Marvel takeover was happening right in front of us, and for some players, it was a dream come true. Many Marvel fans loved it, and there was plenty of hype surrounding the new content. But while some players loved it, the original Fortnite community started to feel like the game was losing its identity. Fortnite had always been this unique, creative game where anything could happen, but now it was starting to feel like it was just promoting Marvel. Sure, the skins and new mythic items were fun, and it was cool to have new weapons and bosses to fight, but it felt like the whole season was a giant ad for Marvel. Fortnite was no longer just Fortnite, it was Fortnite and Marvel, and for some, that was a little too much. For some people, the excitement of having a season full of Marvel characters was dampened by the fact that it felt like the game was becoming more of a platform for brand promotions than a game of its own. Players started to feel like the game's original charm was being overshadowed by a constant stream of tie-ins to other brands. But on the flip side, some players still had a blast with it. For the Marvel fanbase, this was a dream come true, and it also added a lot of diversity to the game. It didn't just stop at skins, it introduced new gameplay mechanics with things like mythic weapons and special bosses. The way Fortnite incorporated Marvel into its world, with bosses like Iron Man dropping his weapons, kept that Fortnite magic still alive. It didn't feel completely out of place, but it was definitely a shift. Now let's fast forward to today. If you look at Fortnite now, it's hard to ignore the fact that the game has become absolutely flooded with collaborations. I mean, go check out the item shop right now. You'll probably find skins from all kinds of movies, TV shows, and even real-life celebrities. It's like scrolling through a pop culture mall where every other skin is a tie-in to some big brand. And it's not just skins, but Fortnite now has events and even full game modes dedicated to things like Star Wars, The Walking Dead, or Dragon Ball Z. At this point, it feels like Fortnite is just constantly bringing in new collaborations, and for a lot of players, it's starting to feel like too much. It's not just the occasional fun crossover anymore, it's every season, every update, and every event. It's like the game can't stand on its own 2 feet anymore without relying on some other huge crossover. And for players who fell in love with Fortnite for its own unique identity, that's starting to feel like a problem. The thing is, it's not that the collabs themselves are bad, it's that they've become too much. Back when Fortnite was dropping a special concert or a cool LTM now and then, it felt fresh. It was like a fun surprise every once in a while. But now, with constant crossovers and the item shop flooded with branded skins, it's hard to even find anything that feels original to Fortnite. The whole game feels like it's being taken over by other brands, and it's becoming harder to connect with the original game. Sure, some of the collaborations, such as LEGO Fortnite and the Fortnite Festival, have added some neat variety, but when the entire game revolves around collabs and tie-ins, it starts to lose the magic that made Fortnite special. You can only throw so many iconic characters into the mix before the game starts to feel more like a cash grab than a fun experience. The thing with Fortnite is that it's always been about change. The game is built around the idea of constant updates and new content, and for a lot of players, that's been the key to its success. But there's a fine line between keeping the game fresh and overloading players with so many crossovers that it starts to lose its own soul. When Fortnite first started bringing in things like Marvel or Star Wars, it felt like a special way of keeping the game interesting and exciting. But now, it feels like the game's DNA has shifted. Fortnite is no longer the battle royale with its own identity, but rather a constantly evolving mashup of every pop culture reference you can think of. And while that might appeal to some, it's definitely leaving a lot of original fans wondering what happened to the original game. Fortnite's constant stream of collaborations isn't just about keeping the game fresh, it's also a major money-making strategy. Compared to earlier years, even when Fortnite was peaking, the game is still generating massive revenue, largely due to its collaborations. With the constant release of new skins, cosmetics, and celebrity tie-ins, Fortnite has found a way to keep its cash flow steady. Given the game's ongoing success and high player engagement, Epic Games doesn't seem too concerned about the potential downsides of these collaborations. Every new crossover, whether it's with Marvel, musicians, or other popular franchises, attracts a fresh new wave of players. Many new players hop into Fortnite specifically because of the new celebrity skins or limited time events. This keeps the player base constantly growing, which means that the game's revenue doesn't seem to be suffering. In this light, it's understandable why Fortnite continues to push out new collaborations. The game isn't losing players or revenue from these crossovers, so why would they stop? The constant stream of new content and collaborations keeps players interested, engaged, and willing to spend money on cosmetics. While longtime fans may feel like the game is becoming overloaded, Fortnite's bottom line shows that these collaborations are, at least in the short term, still working in its favor. So have the collabs ruined Fortnite? It depends on who you ask. For some players, the constant release of new skins and content from other brands keeps the game exciting and new. But for others, it's taken away from Fortnite's unique gameplay that made it stand out in the first place. Maybe it's not about whether the collabs ruin Fortnite, but rather whether Fortnite can find a way to balance its identity with the ongoing need for new content. The game can't just keep leaning on these outside brands and instead needs to remember what made it great in the first place. That being said, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to use code FIERCEGAMING in the item shop, and I'll see you guys in the next one.